again, Iris here again. And today we wanted to do a short video on triggers. And I think triggers, and I'm feeling triggered and you're triggering me, became very buzzwords nowadays. I'm being triggered. Don't do this because it triggers me and all of that. And look, as a therapist, I know about triggers. I talk about triggers all the times with people. And I talk with family members about it, of course, with permission, what are this person's triggers, right? But part of knowing your triggers is also knowing that you placed the triggers, right? And not purposefully, right? We know that sometimes triggers can come from trauma. Triggers can come from when we were little. Triggers can come from the way we were raised, from something we saw, from many, many different things triggers can come from, right?
Yeah,
you can fill in the blank and the trigger is there. But now you have the responsibility to either keep that trigger there or take that trigger away. And the importance of when you have a trigger there and you meet somebody new that doesn't know your triggers, they may step on a trigger because it's a landmine at that point. They don't know. I don't know.
They don't know.
And I know Iris I've been knowing Iris for a long time, but I may not know all her triggers and she may not know all my triggers. So
that is correct.
And there's a lot of self-knowledge. And as you're going through the process of changing, getting to know yourself, there's a process of learning, if this is my trigger, how do I get rid of this trigger? Right? How do I do that when somebody steps on that trigger? I, to myself, can say, they don't know my backstory. I can tell them, hey, I don't like when you do X, Y, or Z. Make sure that you tell them, right? Mostly as during the process of getting better. I don't like when you do X, Y, or Z, and set your boundaries. That's really important. But if it's a trigger, and I had many years ago, I had a client who was triggered by people saying Mr. and his name, Mr. So-and-so. That word Mr. was really rough for him. And he actually had punched a teacher. It's a long story, but that's a landmine, right? How many people say Mr. So-and-so, right? And that's really hard. And so that was really hard for him. So it was a matter of understanding that's a trigger that I have. Yes, at the beginning, he would say, I don't like when you call me Mr., but how much is that out of respect? How much is that out of many other things, right? So, and then saying, what is bringing it up? And how do I heal myself so this doesn't affect me in such a high emotional reaction where now I want to take a negative behavior? What do you think, Iris, about
That's
triggers?
amazing. Triggers, I can give you, to explain it better,
Mm-hmm.
I can give you 4 examples that's coming up. My first trigger was always believing that I was doing something wrong. And it came from an aunt that loved me with everything she got. But she used to play this game with me when I was a child. Every morning she would come and startle me with, I got you now. And she would do this until she would see me in tears. She was playing, but my subconscious didn't know that she was playing.
Yeah.
So I created this thing that every time something went wrong, I felt I did something wrong and I needed to fix it. And that came with me as an adult. Like to this day, still that trigger is in me to the point that something happens. You experienced the trigger with me. One time I was texting you and you were busy, you were not getting back. And then I said, finally, when you responded, I thought you were upset with me.
Yeah.
Because immediately my mind took me back to what did I do?
Mm-hmm.
What did I do wrong that this person is not answering me? Or not because of that not answering me, but there's a space of silence that made no sense in my head, right? What
Yeah.
did I do wrong? That's one of my trigger from when I was a little child.
Mm-hmm.
Another trigger is the word stupid. I was told the word stupid. Boston, Massachusetts, pregnant with my second child, pushing a stroller, and the baby daddy tried to get the stroller from me, was knowing. I wanted, without responding, I just wanted to have the stroller as a support system. I know his intention was to help me, right?
Mhm.
But me thinking the stroller was giving me support. The way he called me stupid at that moment, it created this pain in me that I couldn't hear the word stupid for years. I
Mhm.
wouldn't even said it.
Yeah.
So for years, hearing the word stupid was a huge trigger in me, like a huge. Another trigger, as when I came to this country, there was a glass. That's why I went like this before. I was standing in my mother's kitchen and there was a glass here and I went like this and the glass went down. Till this day, if we go out and you have a glass, I have to remove it. I'm aware that I'm removing it. I'm aware why, but I remove it just in case you go like this and you knock out
And
the
you knock
glass,
it out.
right?
Mhm.
And the last trigger that I wanted to share is when someone lies to me, especially in a relationship. It really causes some type of. So my brother, I heard him lie when I was 19 years old. To this day, I don't believe anything my brother says
Mm.
because it put something in me that it changed the way I perceived him.
Yeah.
In relationship, lying, it kind of breaks something in me. So how did I overcome that trigger? I stopped having expectation. At least when it comes to relationship with another, I have no expectation. I love you and I see you and I kind of observe now your behavior. If your behavior is in alignment with your words, if what you said is in alignment with your word and you become trustworthy and is in alignment with my value, then, but I don't have no expectation. I'm not sitting down waiting that you're not going to make a mistake or that you're not going to do something that I don't like. Not necessarily a mistake, but something that I don't like. But it's up to me now to decide what I'm going to accept from you.
Oh, that's
So
beautiful.
that's how I deal with it with my
And
triggers.
that's actually one of the best things for getting rid of your triggers is first analyzing where it's coming from, right? The story behind it. Because there's always a story
Exactly.
behind a trigger, right? And that story, and that's why triggers are so interesting because nobody else knows the story but you.
Exactly.
Right. And so that's why when somebody steps on a trigger and it's like a landmine, they didn't know that that was a trigger for you. Right.
Exactly.
And so first is knowing the story behind it, then saying that is my story. That may not be the case for everybody. Right. So analyzing it a little bit more and then not expecting people.
Not
And I love
expecting
that you say getting rid of those expectations. And that's important, not just for triggers, but for many other things. We're
everything in
all
life.
human. Yeah, we're all human. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to do things wrong. And yes, there's sometimes when we do have to separate from people, mostly if they're hurting us, right? But when we don't expect my happiness, it's not because of you. What you
Exactly.
do, what
It's
you,
not
how you
attached
act,
to
what
anything that you do.
is not attached. My happiness is me. My
Exactly.
joy is in me. And we talked about the difference between happiness and joy before, but my joy is in me. I'm
Exactly.
in my peace. So that part of it is in me. And then from there, we will go.
It goes back to that those emotions. Your emotions are not your happiness. Your emotions are not a trick. It's not an excuse for a trigger behavior. It's a guidance.
It's a
It's,
guidance.
it's, it's to show you where you are, show you where you don't want to be, and to
Mhm.
show you us what we what is good and what is not good for us. But it's not an excuse to be triggered by it. Ah, I loved
I
it.
love it. And then
I love
so
it.
thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Iris. I love talking with you and I love
I
our
love talking to
conversation.
you. I love
Um,
talking. I love talking with you. You
um,
know this.
we can talk all day. Please like and subscribe. Put in the comments, what are you thinking? What are some topics you want us to tackle next? Love you, love you, love you. Have a
I love
wonderful
you.
day.
You too. You too.